The living room smelled wrong. Clean. No diesel. No dust. No burned metal hanging in the air. Just fabric softener and silence. The kind of silence that presses against your ears harder than the rotors ever did. My boots felt lighter without the uniform. Too light. Like they didn't belong to me anymore. Coming home is supposed to feel like relief. But relief wasn't what I felt standing there. It was exposure. During deployment, every sound had a purpose. Every movement mattered. In the sandbox, your body learns to stay ready even when your mind is tired. You sleep shallow. You listen deep. Brotherhood keeps you upright when duty grinds you down. At home, no one tells you where to stand. No one watches your back. The walls don't breathe. The room just waits. She looked at me and hesitated. Not fear, not rejection, confusion. Her eyes searched for rank, for gear, for the version of me she knew from pictures and stories. The uniform was gone, and so was the script. They tell you the war is over, but no one prepares you for the quiet that follows. That's the moment you realize coming home isn't the end of the mission. It's the beginning of a different kind of duty. Before the war, I was lighter, not in weight, but in the way I moved through the world. I laughed without checking the exits. I slept through the night without listening for things that weren't there. My daughter knew my voice before she knew my rank. Back then, my name sounded like safety when it was spoken inside the house. I didn't leave thinking I would disappear. I told myself it was temporary, a deployment, a duty, something I would carry out and then set down like a bag at the door. That's how it's explained to you. Clean, orderly, almost gentle, but the sandbox doesn't care who you were before. Out there, you become what keeps the men beside you alive. Responsibility hardens you. Fear sharpens you. Orders strip things down to essentials. You learn fast what matters and what doesn't, and slowly, quietly, the man who laughed easily stops showing up. I still remember the last night before I left. The house was dark, everyone asleep. I stood in the hallway longer than I needed to, just listening, breathing it in, trying to lock the sound of that peace somewhere deep enough to survive what was coming. Deployment didn't kill that man. It buried him, layer by layer, under dust, duty, and the weight of other men's lives resting on your decisions. And when you come home, you realize digging him back out is harder than anything you did over there. In combat, I was never alone, even when I was by myself. The men around me knew things about me I never had to say out loud. They knew the rhythm of my breathing when things went quiet. They knew when my jaw tightened that trouble was close. Silence wasn't awkward out there. It was information. Brotherhood doesn't come from speeches or flags. It comes from shared fear and shared responsibility. From knowing the man next to you is carrying the same weight, and choosing to carry yours when you can't. We were stripped down to essentials. Trust, timing, loyalty. Everything else fell away. In the sandbox, I didn't need to explain why I sat with my back to the wall. No one asked why I stared too long at doorways. They understood the pauses. They understood the nights. We spoke a language built out of glances and half-sentences, out of jokes made too dark for anyone else to hear. Coming home felt like losing that language overnight. The world was loud in the wrong places and silent where it mattered. People talked fast, about things that didn't carry consequence. I nodded. I smiled. But no one around me knew how to read the spaces between my words. Brotherhood stays over there. You don't replace it. You carry it. And sometimes, late at night, it's the only place you still feel fully known. You don't leave the war on the runway. Not when the wheels touch down. Not when the applause fades. Not when the uniform gets folded and put away. The body remembers before the mind ever catches up. I still sit where I can see the door. Still count steps without meaning to. Still feel the room before I relax inside it. At home, people think tension looks like anger. They don't see the math running quietly behind your eyes. Every sound gets weighed. Every movement gets measured. A dropped glass makes the heart jump before the brain can explain it away. You flinch at nothing and everything, because once, it wasn't nothing. The uniform comes off easy enough. Anyone can do that. But the conditioning stays stitched into muscle and instinct. It taught me to wake up ready, to read faces fast, to assume responsibility even when no one asked for it. That kind of training doesn't shut down just because the mission ended. Some nights I catch myself listening for things that aren't there anymore. The house is quiet, too quiet, and that quiet carries weight. It presses down, slow, steady, familiar. People say, "You're home now." They mean it kindly, but home doesn't erase what duty carved into you. You learn to carry the weight differently, but you never really put it down. She didn't step back. She just paused, long enough for it to hurt. Her eyes weren't scared, they were searching, like she was trying to line up the man in front of her with the voice she remembered from phone calls and the photos taped to the fridge. Something didn't match. Kids don't fake that moment. There's no filter, no script. She wasn't judging me, she was measuring presence. And I came up unfamiliar. In her world, heroes wear smiles, not uniforms. They kneel, they listen, they stay. Medals don't mean anything when you're 4 feet tall and waiting for someone to come home from deployment and pick you up like they promised. She didn't care where I'd been, only that I'd been gone. I realized then how much of myself I had left overseas. The way my voice stayed low, the way my eyes kept scanning even inside my own house. I was there in body, but part of me was still standing watch somewhere else. I tried to reach for her, stopped halfway, not because I was afraid, but because I didn't know if she still knew how to reach me. That look stays with you, deeper than any memory from the sandbox, because war teaches you how to face danger, but it doesn't teach you how to be fully present again. And a child's eyes will tell you the truth long before you're ready to hear it. Everyone asks the same question, usually with good intentions. How was it? They ask it in doorways, over coffee, in passing. It's said lightly, almost politely, like they're asking about the weather. And you know right away they don't really want the answer, because the real answer doesn't fit the space they've made for it. It's too heavy, too quiet, too sharp around the edges. So you give them what they can carry. It was fine. One word. Clean. Sealed tight. Silence becomes a habit again. Back there, silence kept you alive. You didn't talk about things that didn't need to be said. You learned to swallow words before they got someone hurt. Coming home doesn't break that instinct. It just gives it a new shape. There are moments you almost speak. A pause hangs in the air, just long enough for the truth to breathe. Then you feel it. The room tightening, the eyes waiting for something easier, and you pull it back in. You nod. You change the subject. At night, those unspoken answers don't stay quiet. They line up. They replay. They press against the inside of your chest where no one else can hear them. The battlefield changes, but the rules don't. Silence becomes survival again. Not because you have nothing to say, but because you've learned exactly what happens when you say too much. Guilt doesn't announce itself. It settles in. Quiet. Patient. It shows up when the house is calm and nothing is demanding your attention. You survived. Others didn't. That math never balances, no matter how many times you run it. There's guilt in the mirror, too. In the man looking back who isn't the one who left. The edges are harder. The pause is longer. You wonder when that change happened, and whether it was necessary or just the cost of duty. Then there's the kind of guilt that hits without warning. A birthday candle you weren't there to light. First words you heard about later, like secondhand news. Moments that moved on without you because the mission didn't pause for family calendars. No one blames you for that, which somehow makes it heavier. Back there, guilt had direction. A target. Something you could face, move toward, do something about. At home, it has nowhere to go. No enemy to track. No orders to follow. Just a quiet pressure that doesn't bleed, doesn't bruise, but doesn't let go either. You carry it because you don't know where to set it down. Because part of you believes carrying it is what keeps faith with the ones who didn't make it back, and the moments you missed along the way. It's not loud. It doesn't break you. It just stays steady, reminding you that survival leaves marks no one taught you how to wear. Hardness kept me alive over there. It narrowed my world to what mattered and cut away the rest. You don't soften your edges in the sandbox. You don't hesitate. You don't open yourself up. Survival rewards distance. But that same armor follows you home, and at home, it doesn't protect anyone. It just creates space where closeness used to live. I noticed it in small moments. The way my voice stayed flat when it didn't need to. The way I pulled back instead of leaning in. I'd catch myself standing instead of sitting, watching instead of joining. Old habits, built for different ground. Being gentle again doesn't come naturally. It feels unearned, unsafe. like stepping onto ice that might not hold. You move slow, awkward. You say the wrong thing. You react too sharp, then wonder why the room went quiet. There were days I felt like I was learning to walk all over again. Not forward, but inward. Learning how to listen without scanning, how to hold someone without bracing, how to stay when instinct tells you to pull away. No one gives you a manual for that part. There's no drill for patience, no command for tenderness. You just keep trying. You stumble, you apologize, you try again, because being soft isn't weakness, it's work. And some days it's the hardest work you'll ever do. The uniform did more than mark my rank. It explained me. In it, people knew how to stand, how to speak, when to step aside. There was space built into the fabric, distance, respect that came without asking. When I wore it, no one questioned my silence. No one mistook restraint for coldness. The weight I carried was assumed, even honored. I didn't have to translate myself. The uniform did the talking. Then it came off. Without it, I became just another man in line. Another face in a crowd that moves fast and looks past you. Expectations returned overnight. Be present, be light, be normal. The world doesn't slow down to notice what it took to get you back here. People see hands that work, a back that holds up. They don't see the damage tucked beneath the surface, the nights that never fully rest, the instincts that never clock out. Invisible weight doesn't earn patience. There are moments I miss the shield, not for the authority, but for the clarity. The way it drew a line between what I carried and what others asked of me. Now, if someone wants to understand, I have to open that door myself. I have to show the cracks. And that's harder than wearing any patch or stripe. The uniform came off easily. The protection didn't leave with it. Recognition didn't come all at once. It came in inches, in shared mornings, in quiet evenings where nothing needed fixing. She didn't need the story of the war. She needed consistency. She needed me to stay when it would have been easier to retreat into silence. I learned that presence speaks louder than explanations. I stopped trying to command the room the way I once had to. I learned how to wait, how to listen without correcting, how to let moments unfold without controlling them. That kind of patience doesn't come from training. It comes from choosing to remain. There were setbacks, days when old habits resurfaced, when my voice hardened or my distance returned. She noticed. Kids always do. But she also noticed when I came back from it, when I apologized, when I sat down instead of standing guard. Slowly, her eyes changed. The searching faded. Trust took its place. Not because I was perfect, but because I was there, day after day, learning a different rhythm. Coming home isn't a single moment captured at an airport. It's a long, quiet mission. No medals, no ceremonies, just small victories no one salutes. And somehow, those victories matter more than any ribbon I ever wore. The war doesn't end cleanly. It fades. It settles into the spaces people don't see, into routines, into pauses, into the way some of us carry ourselves long after the uniform is folded away. That doesn't make you broken, it makes you human. If you're carrying things you don't talk about, you're not weak. If the nights are still heavy, if the silence still presses in, if memories show up uninvited, you're not alone in this fight. Not now. Not ever. Brotherhood doesn't end with deployment dates. It survives in shared understanding, even when words fail. There is honor in staying, honor in choosing to be present, honor in doing the quiet work no one applauds. Healing isn't loud. It doesn't come with ceremonies. It comes in patience, in asking for help when the weight gets too heavy to carry alone. That's not failure. That's courage, in a different form. If this story sounds familiar, know this. You're seen. You matter. And this mission still has meaning. If you respect our troops, type "thank you" or "respect" in the comments. Not for views, but for acknowledgement. And if you choose to subscribe, do it to honor the next story. Another voice. Another life shaped by duty, sacrifice, and the long road home. We'll keep telling them, quietly, truthfully, with respect.